This program proudly brought to you by Southern Cross Pitch and Putt and Henry's Family Restaurant. Year 2000 was not kind to the Cannons, and saving the worst to last, the Victoria Titans punishing the Cannons at the Vodafone Arena. 2001 promises much more for the Cannons, and we find out why. Courtside seat for all your basketball action. This is Cannons Courtside.
Good morning and welcome to Cannons Courtside. Great to have your company and good to be back with you after our little Christmas break last week. And of course we're at an earlier time slot today, just temporarily. We do have tennis commitments this afternoon. But someone who has given up his commitments to be with us is Cal Bruton, the Cannons coach. Great to have you with us, Cal.
It's good to be here, Phil, as always.
As always, but we also bring you in when the Cannons are on a bit of a losing streak. We bring the players in when you're going well and bring you in when you've got a few problems.
That's always the case, you know, when the players win, they do the job. When he loses, it's the coach's fault, so nothing's changed. Exactly.
But you have been quoted this week of saying things are going to change because it's a new year, new start.
Well, if you can remember last year, you know, I came in right around this time and we made a run, and we're definitely looking at that as being a preview, if you like, to what we can do this year. So, yeah, 2001 is looking bright as we train very well, so I'm counting on us turning the corner.
You and I were talking the other night, and I reckon you're the most positive person I've ever met. You're still remaining that way, even though you've only had a couple of wins and a lot of losses.
Yeah, you really have the choice. You know, you can go in and be negative, and that's not going to add anything to the pot, or you can come in and be positive and hopefully, you know, grab someone with you to join that group. So I think right now all the guys' positive vibes are starting to be, if you like, flowing throughout the team. So hopefully those positive vibes will carry us on to a few wins down the stretch.
Well, since our last program, the Cannons have been up against Wollongong and they've also been up against the Victoria Titans. We've put those two games into a bit of a package. Nick Edwards has this report.
The Cannons were keen to avenge the early season loss to Wollongong and started the game in the same vein as their Albury clash with Perth, streaking to an 11-point lead at quarter time. Not to be outplayed at home, the Hawks stole the lead back and by three-quarter time had established a 7-point edge. In the final quarter, with Andrew Clark hitting 17 points, including 5 three-pointers, the Cannons locked the game up with a long bomb from Nate, seconds before full time, and the Hawks were forced into overtime. Taking advantage of the charity stripe and despite a last-second scramble, Wollongong hung on to win 111 to 109. A week later and the Cannons were guests of one of the league's heavyweights, the Victoria Titans, at the Vodafone Arena. The Titans were looking good after unthroning the Kings earlier in the week and were determined not to give Canberra any chances. Shooting to an 11-point lead at quarter time and then punishing the Cannons in the second quarter to score a record-setting 76 points by half-time. The Titans went further ahead in the third quarter, and despite a late rally, the Cannons suffered their worst defeat for the season and their heaviest loss since 1994.
Yes, well, a couple of really contrasting games there. A close one, an overtime game, in fact, against Wollongong, and then get blown away by Victoria a week later. I mean, how does it get that way in a week?
Well, you got to give credit to the Titans. They're a different unit from the Wollongong team. Even though Wollongong is third on the ladder, I look at the Titans as probably the best team we played all year. They're strong around the basket. They have D-Mac running the show. The kid Mark Dickel from New Zealand, he's coming and add a lot of bite to their attack. And we came out really focused and played very well in the first 4 minutes of the ball game before it seemed like they shifted gears on us. So the way I see it is that there's the have and the have-nots in this competition. Adelaide, Perth, and Victoria seem to be the teams that really 33-10 combined record. Then you got your other group of Melbourne, Sydney, Wollongong, and Townsville, 33-17. then you have the have-nots who are 9-46. So we're trying to get to the haves, and we've got a bit of work ahead of us.
But even one of the have-nots, I mean, Victoria, you don't consider them yourselves as a 40-odd point better team than yours, surely?
Not at all, not at all. I thought we really, once we got down, it seemed like we just kept going downhill. And credit to them, they just kept the foot right on us. We didn't have, if you like, the aggressiveness that we showed in the game against Wollongong. It's almost like we decided that we'll try to conserve energy, and I was disappointed with that. And I said to the guys after the game that there's no way that we're going to drop our intensity from this point on, in the new year. So we've really worked extremely hard on our defensive game, because giving up 138 points, and mind you, it was at 61%, you're not going to win many games like that. So we went to work without the basketballs, concentrate on stopping opponents, and I believe we made great strides in that direction.
But you look back at that Wollongong game, and I guess if hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? But had you been able to nail that game, and it was so close, things could have been a little different from then on, couldn't they? Just getting a win under your belt, particularly beating the Hawks in Wollongong.
Oh, no question about that. It's a confidence game, and I think the guys felt that they let themselves down, because that game was there to be won. We really played well. We've been playing well up until that point, losing, if you like, to Melbourne Tigers at a close game, then having the lead on Perth and having things not really go our way. But over that weekend, the opposition went to the line 81 times to our 28, and we said, well, we only lost by a couple points. So now we can look at Titans as being a team that if we can step up there, that gives us a chance to sort of show ourselves as one of the elite teams. But it wasn't to be, and I think later on this month when we get a chance to see the Titans on our home court, we'd like to think it'd be a different story.
Listen, things are starting to show on you a little bit too, aren't they? We saw in the pictures there, so the old technical foul from Mal Cooper, and it's not the first technical you've had in the last couple of weeks. Is it starting to get to you a little bit?
Well, I picked up 2 technicals. I picked up one in the game, and basically it was a comment that I made to the referee about sending off a videotape to Gary Fox. Now, to me, I'm trying to be sly and casual with my remarks, but he didn't like it, and he laid me with a tech. And then when I told him I'm definitely sending one off now, he decided that was enough to send me out the game. Well, although
you said 2 techs, it was 3, wasn't it? It was 2.
Well, one was on the bench.
Okay.
Yeah, so
you don't own that one.
Yeah, I don't own that one, no. But I have to take it anyway. I'll cop this sweet.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I look at it, I got to protect my team. I felt that we were being wronged on the officiating count in terms of the way teams were going to the free throw line on some calls, and we weren't. Whether rightly or wrongly, I've done another tape, and I've sent it off. And I think at the end of the day, you really want to make sure that you show that you're responsible, but at the same time, you want to be accountable for those sort of things, and hopefully put your team in the light that they realize that you're backing them up. So our guys understand no more techs. We're not going to say a thing to the referees, neither will I. And I look forward to this new year having a clean slate.
Okay, yeah, all that's in the past. There is a way ahead, and we're going to look at that right after this break when we look at tonight's game against Brisbane.
Southern Cross Pitch and Putt is running a new competition for viewers of Cannons Courtside. You and your friends or family could win a pitch and putt game against the Canberra Cannons and dinner at Henry's Family Restaurant. There'll be 2 winners drawn each week, with a game teeing off at the end of the month. To enter, simply send a self-addressed envelope to Cannons Pitch and Putt, PO Box 53 Woden, ACT 2606.
Blades Menswear, the world's finest clothes. Versace Classic, Hugo Boss, Louis Theroux, Tom Bellini. Blades Menswear, simply the world's finest clothes.
Welcome back to Cannons Courtside. Well, the Cannons are back in town tonight. They're at the AIS Arena against the Brisbane Bullets. It'll be good to see some basketball in town again. Cal, the Brisbane Bullets is a team that you beat at the arena, what, 5 weeks ago?
That's right. We beat them by 14 points. It was obviously one of our better wins out of the 2 that we've had. At the end of that particular game, we felt that we were just about to turn the corner because we felt confident in our new structure and what we put in place. Brisbane were minus Leroy Loggins, their superstar. Also, Matt Zorner didn't play, and their new import, Kahari Jackson, was sitting on the bench. I believe all three of those guys will be in town for the game. So with the new look team, they still got some adjustments to make. We're protecting our home court. We got a new attitude toward people coming into our house trying to get a W. So we'd like to think we can pull this one off.
Be great to see Leroy Loggins out there tonight. We were denied seeing Leroy's 500th at the Palace, that 5 weeks ago when he injured his ankle the day before and wasn't able to play in that game. But he is playing tonight. The big question is, how fit's he going to be? We popped that question to him.
Coach already told me if I'm in trouble, just put my hand up. He doesn't care if it's 5 or 6 times, but he just wants me to go hard and quick, and then if I'm in trouble, I put my hand up and have a breather.
Hey, look, Simon, well, I guess for the last 10 games we looked at Simon and said, Simon, can you do this? And he's answered every call. So Simon has been terrific for us, and you know, we're very proud of the work he's put into his game, you know, how hard he's worked, and I think he's been the big plus coming out of you know, what's probably been a disappointing run of 7 losses. He's still shining through.
Coach Richard Orlick there talking about Simon Curl, and he's one player we didn't mention just then. He was the one that really carried them in that game that you played, what, 5 weeks ago, and you add him to that mix and they're pretty tough.
Oh yeah, they got a nice balanced squad, and now that they're healthy, they should be pretty formidable. I look at Simon Curl as the catalyst with the Bullets team. He took 30 shots in that game, 34 shots to get his 30 points. When I see that, I feel like that's something that it can work in our favor. If he's going to dominate the scoring proceedings and take all the shots, well, that's less shots for everybody else. So Nate Green will have that assignment, and I'm sure he'll look forward to it with some juice flowing. Yeah.
Now, he's not going to get to take that many shots, surely, if Leroy plays. And the new guy that's playing, Jackson, is it? Who I've not seen yet. What sort of player is he?
Well, he's a forward, 6'9". I saw him in Perth when the Perth Wildcats looked at him, but they decided that he wasn't what they were looking for. He's an inside target, good rebounder. Doesn't seem to have an array of moves around the basket, but he seems to be what they needed. So I'm sure he'll provide some depth there. But Matt Zorner was the one guy that showed really good play against Paul Rogers when they played the Wildcats. So yeah, I think they're going to be pretty strong in the front line, but our guys are ready to go.
Matty Zorner's an old Canberra boy too. He played here with the Cannons and the Gunners, and I think people have been surprised at Matt. He's been in and out of the league, and he's been overseas, and still very effective though, isn't he?
Well, when you get to be 6'10" and you over, I don't know how many 100
K's. 120 kilos.
Easy, yeah. Well, you're always going to make your presence felt. So him and Wayne Helliwell and Lee Barlow and Jackson, yeah, it's a pretty thick front line. Our young Chargers, along with our vets, Willie Simmons and Dave Simmons, will have to step up and make sure that those guys don't have an impact. And if we can basically neutralize their guards, Rutherford, of course, and Curl, Leroy, I'm thinking, well, you know, you never dismiss Leroy because with that skinny back, he can put the whole team on it and carry him across the line. So we definitely got to be prepared for him.
That's another X factor, Randy Rutherford, of course, who played in that game, but he wasn't particularly fit. He was in and out of that game a bit that we saw 5 weeks ago. So again, having him in there, and we all know what he's done when he played here with the Canberra Cannons, so he can really drill it.
Oh yeah, you know, we admire Randy and respect him, and of course he's had a tough season so far. He's averaged 18 points a game, probably down on his figures last year in both field goal and scoring, but at the same time he can always have a breakout game, so we definitely got to be mindful of that. The good thing for us is that they're playing Sydney tonight in Brisbane, and they're going to fly in tomorrow, so hopefully their flight will be delayed.
Okay, well, let's hope it's the start of a run for the Canberra Cannons. They've got a tough one up against Townsville and Victoria to come after the Brisbane Bullets game. So if you're going to get on a roll, you've got to do it against some tough teams.
We feel the month of January is very important to us. We need to win these 3 games. We've targeted our goals very high. We're looking at trying to finish the season off with a 12-3 record, which will give us a winning season, which is the goal we set for ourselves at the start. So, yeah, it has to start with Brisbane.
Okay, we're going to take a break now and come back on Cannons Courtside with more in just a moment.
Want to see the Cannons' next home game for free and get a free meal from Henry's Family Restaurant? You can simply by entering our competition and go in the draw for our grand prize of airfares, accommodation and tickets to an NBL Grand Final. Go to the Cannons homepage and register. It's that easy. Here is this week's question.
And if you'd like to get along to Henry's any Wednesday night around about 6:30, you can meet the Canberra Cannons there. Make sure you go up and introduce yourselves to the players. Well, the Canberra Capitals are back in action this weekend. They've had a bit of a break in the WNBL and they're up against the Melbourne Tigers tonight in Melbourne, and they're back in town tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock at the AIS against their crosstown rivals. We caught up with Kristen Veal and got her thoughts on the game.
AIS have been playing really well. You know, they're young guns with a lot of fire and a lot of legs, and they'll just keep running at us. So it'll be interesting. So basically, we've just got to go to our strengths and try not to run with them, or we'll probably run ourselves out of the game. So yeah, it'll be a tough one. So we're not taking them too lightly.
We certainly respect them. Phil Brown's a great coach, and he always gets that team playing well. And if they keep the game close, they're always a chance. So we really need to respect their talents and play hard like we do every other team.
Each year, it's a great challenge to play Canberra with the crosstown rivals, and particularly this year because they're the defending champions and pretty much the benchmark in the league, so it's a good challenge for our young players.
Should be quite some contest too, because plenty of Australian Institute of Sport graduates on the Canberra Capitals. I'm sure when they go back there tomorrow, they're going to be wanting to strut their stuff and show what they've learned with the Capitals. But another interesting sidelight on this game, the two Hamilton girls, Jacinta lining up for the AIS and Lucille lining up for the Capitals.
Yeah, very much looking forward to playing the Institute. I think traditionally the Caps have good contests against the Institute, and yes, I'll be looking out for little Jacinta Hamilton, and look, there's no love lost on court, but she's my sister, so I'll be looking out for her.
She's just another opponent. Try not to think that we actually have the same blood or anything like that. Just treat her the same as I would anyone else. But it's fun. Give each other a few little looks here and there, and just look out for her and make sure she's not doing too well and things like that. Yep.
Time to also tell you that the Canberra Capitals will be holding a coaching camp. That's a little later this month. The dates, 22nd, 23rd and 24th of January. That's at the Belconnen Basketball Stadium. It's open to boys and girls aged between 8 and 16. Anyone who wants to get along to the camp, contact Basketball Canberra and they'll give you all the directions. Well, there's been plenty going on locally with the Canberra Cannons, even though they haven't been playing. There's been a few things going on off the court. A group came in from America this week. There's been plenty of publicity about them, looking perhaps to take over the management side and the marketing side of the Canberra Cannons. Now, DMW Sports and Entertainment, you've met them, I guess. What can you tell us about them?
Well, they seem like they're pretty exciting with their ideas and all, but in terms of letting the cat out of the bag, shall we say, I'm on the board, but that's someone else's portfolio, so I can't say a great deal, but in light of what they are capable of doing and what they want to do, I think it'll be a pretty exciting project.
There's been a bit of concern whether it's going to happen or whether it's not. I had the opportunity to meet them the other day, and there's a bit of confidence being expressed with the DMW group, the American group, that they will get things happening here. But right, I guess at the moment it's pretty much up in the air.
Yeah, I can't say much more, of course, but I believe they're in the midst of having some talks, and hopefully it won't take too long before they can come to some conclusion.
You mightn't be able to tell us too much, but I've got the feeling there might be an announcement very, very early next week, so keep an eye on Prime Local News and we'll bring all of that to you. Well, Cal, let's take a look at the ladder right now, because you're on the wrong end of the ladder, aren't you?
Do we have to look at it?
Okay, let's take a look at it. Up there on top, the Perth Wildcats have taken the lead after a good win over Adelaide, and then Victoria, Wollongong and Adelaide in 4th place. So Adelaide, the pre-season favourites, are just starting to drop off the pace a little bit.
Yeah, well, it was a big game, New Year's Eve, Perth and Adelaide, and of course Perth went into their building and just took the points, looking very classy indeed. I think Adelaide still is a team that you can't dismiss. They'll make their run, of course, and Victoria, as I mentioned, against us, they show that they have the goods, so it's an interesting top 3 there.
Okay, interesting bottom 3 too, and you want to get out of it.
We want to get out of the bottom 3. We feel there's 3 brackets, and we need to get to the middle one first. I think in order to get to the top one, we probably have to get a little more depth, a little more of a franchise player to sort of battle against, like the Rogers, the Donnell Mees, and of course the third team, the Victorian Titans, have an array of talent, you know, with Tony Rollinson and Chris Ansey, you know, D-Mac, Darryl McDonald. So we feel that those are the guys that probably got the edge on everyone in the competition. But on your home court, anything can happen, and we're looking forward to protecting that when they come here.
And you want to get the edge on the Brisbane Bullets tonight.
That's the only game we're thinking about right now. You know, we put all our concentration into trying to stop the Bullets. We got our vests on, our bulletproof vests, and we want to make sure they bounce off it.
Well, let's hope that bulletproof vest works for you tonight. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me again, Phil.
And make sure you're along tonight to watch the Brisbane Bullets and the Cannons go at it at the AIS Arena. 7:30 is the tip-off time, but make sure you join us here next week on Cannons Courtside as well, as we leave you with our play of the day.
In our local comp are again very strong. We've got Radford girls competing in the under-17 division, who are also a very strong team there. They compete in the junior state leagues and our local competitions. Some of the local high schools have put in teams in Lanyon High. We've got Campbell and Belconnen High, Lynham High, who've not long finished their secondary schools titles here as well and have competed quite well there.
Okay. I've lost the thought that I had. Just come on for a second. Okay. Now, you said before 132, 133 teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's an awful lot of kids and officials coming to town.
Sure is. Yeah. We worked out roughly about 1,500 would be here with all the officials, and we also have referees as well that accompany a lot of those teams, and our champion schools referees as well that are nominated by their states. So it's quite a lot of people to deal with in Canberra at one time. Mm-hmm.
Must be an organisational sort of headache.
It has been very hectic the last week or so. Lots of things to happen. Luckily, a lot of the teams find their own accommodation and transport, so that's an area we really don't have to worry too much about. But yeah, it's just a massive organisation nightmare trying to work out court grids and where they're going to be playing and times that they're playing, and then finding officials to actually ref those games. And so we need lots of volunteers to help out in those areas.
How long have you been planning and preparing for this year's?
The planning actually began in September. So, but the nominations and expressions of interest were sent out earlier in the year, so it's it's gone. Yeah, it's because it's got it cut into the fax, so it's fine. Sorry about that. Do you want to take it off the hook?
If it rings again, I'll grab it. How does that sound?
No, that's okay. Okay, when you're right, let's do that one again.
I've got to remember what I said.
That's okay. So it's taken you 5 years of practice and you finally got it right.
Yes, well, this is my first year as tournament director. I have participated as a volunteer over the years, so it has been a very strong learning curve. But yeah, I think Canberra has been very good and has put on a great tournament over the last few years that we've had it. And unfortunately, it goes to Melbourne next year, so we're trying to make it bigger and better this year.
Excellent stuff. Denny.